Okay, hello and welcome. Well, in this video, we're going to talk about the fundamental data types in the Python. Well, let me explain you the concept of the data types in the programming world. Well, data types are too crucial and too important for any sort of value you're going to hold in any sort of variable. You can consider data types as a storage compartment. Let's say you have some sort of clothes like some sort of clothes for the winter, some sort of clothes for the summer, some sort of clothes for the nighttime, and so on and on. So obviously you just like it's really good to just like separate the compartment for the winter clothing for the summer and the nighttime sleep. So whenever you need to something in the storage from the storage, so you're just gonna go and just bring out those things right away without wasting the time and without messing up with everything. But instead, if you just like gonna put everything in a same place, it would be hard for you as well, and it is going to be the inefficient way to store the things. Similar way, like you can say it like that. Let's say another example, like if you work in the office, they have like some department wise filings in the storage system. Let's say they have a text filing, have a text department, so every text related document would be over there. Every other sort of document like HR document would be in the HR department, so it'll be like good to store HR document in the HR, tax document in the taxation, and the sales files would be in the sales department. Similarly, we have like some sort of fundamental data types in the Python. So what are those? I can tell you, but it would be good you to understand the things how you would gonna go and find and search about the things regarding the Python. Let's say I'm over here in the Google search and I'm gonna type it fundamental data types in Python. It's gonna show me some websites. I gonna search and click randomly, like okay, Python reference.read the docs.io. I don't know. So what it's showing me, it's showing me the fundamental data types. There's a data types called none, numbers, and in numbers there are like some further data types: boolean, int, long, float, complex, sequence data type, uh, string, list, tuple, mapping for the deck, sets, and so on and so on. So obviously we're going to discuss those data types right now in the same video, but this is how you just search each and everything, and you can search for the Python's official website. You can search in the Google and try to make the habit for the reading the docs. That would be really help you out in a many ways. Let's say you are just working with any sort of thing which is not like tutorial is not available in the on the YouTube, or tutorials are not available in any sort of course. So that would be like gonna be nightmare if there is a client or some like office work would be on your head, and you need to just deliver it in the timely basis, and you couldn't find any sort of tutorial. What are you gonna do? So the fundamentals of every language, every programming language, as well as like you need to understand the documentation. You need to have an idea how to apply the documentation in the real world, in the real programming language, and bring out some sort of like useful action and the results from that. So that's the whole point for telling letting you know and telling you how to search the docs on the internet. Let's move on the other side of the story, which is like practically see how the data types would work. What I'm gonna do is like I can use the PyCharm, I can use a Jupyter notebook, I can use any sort of VS Code or software. But in order to make it further easy, what I gonna use REPL.IE, which is like online IDE, so you can access anywhere at any time. You don't need to install a complete environment for that, and you don't need to set up. Although we just made a video before than that, which is gonna just like which is gonna tell you how to install the Anaconda setup, which is a data science tool provider and official tool provider, and it's gonna provide and install each and every software into your system and environment. That would be a procedure. If you want to follow, you can go in the video. I'll going to put the link in the description, and at the end of the video you can have a look on that. But right now, as I just said, I'm gonna go on REPL.it, and okay, so that's a login page for the REPL.id. You can create your ID and sign up with the Google and GitHub or the Facebook. I'm gonna continue with the Google right now. It's gonna log me in, and over here it's not about only Python. You can create any sort of, there's hundreds of languages available over there. You can go play and practice with that. So how are you going to create your first REPL, your first program? You have to click over here. There's like, so you can see there's a lot of languages: Python, Ruby on Rail, SQF, PHP, Node, and Dart, Python. So you can select whatever you want. But right now, as we are just working for the Python, we click on the Python right now, and I'm gonna name it like Python 100 right now and create that REPL. It's gonna take literally no time to create the REPL. And why I'm just using that right now, and there's a reason. As I just mentioned, I can use maybe Jupyter Notebook, maybe Spider, maybe any sort of thing, but it's a sort of IDE. And what's IDE do? IDE is an integrated development environment. It'll going to give you the hint, make user suggestions, intelligence, and everything. So it'll going to be more efficient for you. We're going to discuss about the fundamental data types. What are the fundamental data types in the Python? Number one is int. What we have? Int. Then we have float. Then we have string. Then we have boolean. Then we also have list, also known as arrays. But there's a difference, slight difference between arrays and the list. We're gonna discuss that also. Then we also have triple. Then we have dict, which is like known as the dictionary for the key value pairs, and set. These are the fundamental data types. Also, there's another data type which we seen over here, also known as none. As the name suggests, none means none. So these are the core fundamental data types we're gonna discuss right now, and those are literally, believe me, too important in order to do go move forward with the programming. Okay, let's start with the int right now. What int is? Let's say if I'm gonna type print in order to print any sort of output. Let's say I'm gonna print 1. What it gonna print on the screen? 1. If I gonna print 100, it's gonna print 100. How I gonna know what is the data type of 100? There is also a function provided in the Python called type, and we just gonna wrap it around the 100. And what it's gonna do, it's gonna tell us the data type of the specific object. So see, now it's showing us int. So which means int is basically the number thing. So 100 is a number, so it's gonna show int. Let's say, what if I'm going to say 2 plus 4 and hit run, it's gonna show int, which means 2 plus 4 equals to 6. 6 is a number is int. It's gonna show me int. There's another 2 multiplied by 2. What do you expect? It's gonna also show int. And it's also the mathematics options. We are just looking at the mathematics option in the Python. There's like plus, minus, addition, modular. We're going to see those things at the same time. So let's say we're gonna print and print type, and we're gonna do 2 divided by 2 float. Let's say I'm gonna do right now 2 divided by 2. What would be the output of that? Okay, so as we seen, 2 plus 2 2 plus 4 equals to 6. 6 is a number. 2 multiplied by 2. 2 2s are 4. It's a number. Let's see if we're going to print 2 divided by 2. What would be the output? See, 2 plus. So those are the int. What would be the output of that? Is that an int or a float? Let's see that by typing type, wrap it around with the type function and then hit run. It's a float. Why it is? Well, because float is a basically decimal number, a point after the number. So there's a type difference. Why there's a type difference int in the float is like float always take much memory to store the value in the machine or in the computer. Comparatively, int uses less storage in the machine or in the memory or in the computer. That is the basic difference. So we can do and we can perform certain operations with that. Let's say like that 2 divided by 4 and it's gonna give us that value. Or let us do it like that way. Okay, 6 divided by 4 equals to 1.5. There is another option for rounding the things up in the Python provided us, which is like a round, and again we're gonna wrap it like with that, and when we hit run it's gonna round it up the things. Let's say if I gonna say it like 7 divided by 4 and it's gonna be rounded like that. That would be the much appropriate example. Let's say 7 divided by 4 equals to 1.75, and now we need to round it up the things, so we just wrap it up like that around the value, use the round function, and when we'll hit run it'll going to round it up. 1.75 going to be rounded up as 2, so it'll gonna just after the 5 it'll going to round up to the next value, and if that'll be like lesser than the 0.5 it'll going to round it up. Okay, so there's another thing beside the round. Let's say if we don't want to use round, just for example, and we just remove the wrappings around and let's hit run right now. It's 1.75. Okay, so there's another option or another function provided by Python, which is like absolute number. Let's say I just type -40 and I just don't need a negative number, so there's an option called absolute method or function provided by Python, which gonna do what is return the value with the absolute number, which means no negative number. How we're gonna do that? Again, abs, wrap it around with that, and when we're gonna hit run it's gonna return us +40, which means no negative number, which absolute numbers do. Now what we're gonna do, we have to look. We just covered int, we just covered float, and now it's time for to discover a string. What are the strings? Before talking about the strings, we have to talk about the variable. Let's say variable are the storage bucket to store the value, store the data of anything. In every programming language there are the variables, like whether it's JavaScript, Java, Python, Flutter. Okay, so let's discuss about the concept of the variable. Well, variable is a super important concept. There's a variable in every language. Every language have the variables, whether it's Java, JavaScript, Python, whatever it is, there are the variables. Some are statically typed, some are dynamic types. So types can be different, but variable would be over there for sure. So you can consider variable as a storage bucket for the data or the value you're gonna store in that. Let's say let's talk about, let's say you can see over here like there's my name is showing up over there, Sheikh Fazan. What do you think, how the system in the REPL in the backend is storing that name? Is it hard coded, like they just storing hard coded typing? How they are doing it, they just created a variables. What they did, they just created a program. Over there they just created a variable for as the name of the user, and whoever the user will be, it will going to hold the value in the variable of the user, and it's gonna keep on changing for every user. Once the user sign it, the value of the user, which is the name, is stored in the value of the variable of the user. So it's gonna be dynamic for every user. Similarly, all over the places in the Facebook, in any website, any program, any app, there are variables using like heavily, and that's a good thing about the variable. You just created once, you can recall it again and again. Let me demonstrate you right now, get you the more better understanding for the variable. Let us really quickly create a two-liner program to get a new idea, to get you an idea how programs work as well as like how variable works. So let's create a variable. How we can create a variable? Like let's say name, and to assign the value for the variable we have to put equals to sign, and it's a assigned operator in the Python. We're going to discuss the operators for the Python as well in the upcoming videos. So this is how you just created you just create the variable. Well, Python is too smart enough, like in some languages you need to define the what sort of variable you want to use. Let's say I can't create in other languages like variable for the end, and I'm gonna use the variables a string. For other languages, what's gonna happen if I just created a variable? So I need to define that for the what purposes I'm just creating that variable. Let's say I can't create a variable for the end and use strings over there. But in Python, what it's gonna do, it's just say, okay, you're just gonna create the variable and just leave the rest of the things up to me. I'm gonna decide whether you just put the value of a string. I'm gonna convert it into the string in the back under the hood. If you wanna use for int, leave it up to me. I'm gonna use it accordingly. So Python just manage the things under the hood by itself and use the memory in a really efficient way. So this is how you create the variable. This is the assignment operator, and after that we're gonna assign the value. But for the variable, let me tell you, variables should be case sensitive. It's a case sensitive. If you just use name variable and use that capital M, and over here you just like use that, so both variables gonna be different, they are not the same. So you have to really careful with that. It's a case sensitive thing. Other than that, it should be a camel case. It should not start with the capital letter like that. And other than that, it should be not gonna start with any sort of number like that. It should be always start with the camel case, and it's a case sensitive. So these are the fundamental basic things. I'm not gonna go into much more detail right now. After that, let's say I can assign the value. Let me keep it like that. And yeah, the best practices to use the variable is like you should use the relevant or related keywords for the variable. So it should be like if you just read the code after a couple of months later, and like after a year, or any developer just reading your code, it should be like readable and understandable. So what kind of value you're gonna assign, it should be like somehow related to that, and any user, developer, and even you, if you're gonna use and read that after a little bit of time, you need to understand it at one glance. Let us assign the value of it, like name is Sheikh, and when I'm going to use that, print my name is, and I'm gonna use name like that instead of using Sheikh. So how it gonna show? My name is Sheikh. Let's say over here I just gonna use my name is Sheikh like that, and over here I'm gonna print, it's gonna say my name is Sheikh. So what it's doing right now, it just assigned the value in the name Sheikh, and over here I can use whatever I want. Let's say it's a function, it's a method, it's a class, or it's a mechanism, whatever it is. But now right now it's a print function with the name variable. And not only that, if I want to use it, like let's say I can print in another function, or like if I want to use that specific value in other side of the program, so I can use that, like hello, and again I can use it, that variable, like that, and it's gonna show hello Sheikh. Like it's going to show my name is Sheikh and hello Sheikh. Instead, what would be better if I'll just like manually typing over here, my name is Sheikh, my name is Sheikh, every place. So that would be much more difficult. So that approach would be very much powerful, and as well as like it going to give us like less chances of the error. So that would be good. So let's comment that out. So boolean is like simply true and false, but it can be very much powerful tool to use in the programming. Let's say programming is what it's all about, the condition thing. It's all about the comparing things. If that certain value gonna be that, do that. It's always about the triggering at the event when occurs, and it's almost all the time about the comparing the things, setting the conditions up. So this is the most powerful tool as well. So let's say I'm gonna say print. So let's say I'll say print 6 is less than 4. So what would be the output? Let's run false, which is like a logical thing. 6 is greater than 4. Again run it, true. So how we can use that? We can use that like if we just have some sort of like, let's say there's a time event. If time is greater than 6, so class would be off. So trigger the class function and perform class off, or some sort of any event you can perform over there. So conditional statement in the data type boolean can be so much powerful if you know how to use the thing, especially in the loops and to perform some sort of actions and the triggering events. So that's it for now, and hopefully we're going to discuss this much more in the next video. And for the next video we're going to discuss about the tuple dictionary list and the set, and that's going to be really important data types for sure. So stay tuned till then, and see you in the next video.